Okay, we are creating a poetic documentary that will follow a non-linear narrative structure. In other words, it will be artsy and full of mesmerising imagery and audio soundscapes, and not what you would associate with a conventional documentary.
Right.
Okay.
The story is about a nun who supposedly appears and chases the subject who runs around the All Saints Church 13 times. What do you think of the initial idea?
Do you want to go first?
In a sense, it's quite an interesting idea starting off doing a poetic-based documentary on such a thing like this. It's a horror documentary, and I don't think many people have really thought of something of doing it in this style of poetic. So it's quite an interesting idea to start off with, as well as the story idea that you've conveyed to us. It just seems like a very odd idea. I don't know why I find it odd. It might just be because of such specifics as in running around 13 times and then just a nun appearing.
So you think the story's odd?
The story sounds odd.
Okay.
No offence.
I think it's
That's
more
fine.
because I think basically the gist of it is that there's a nun that basically possesses you if you disrespect the church.
Okay.
So running around a church at 12 a.m.
Oh, okay.
13 times would be disrespectful. So I guess it's just a nun that's angry because people aren't respecting the
I was
church.
going to say, what kind of person just runs around a church
Yeah.
13 times? Stop at 13.
It's like, right, we'll run round, but stop at 12 so we don't get attacked. It's fine.
I think it sounds creative and different because I've never really watched a poetic documentary before. So it sounds like it would appeal to quite a few people because it might not seem like a documentary.
I mean, I think I'll find it quite entertaining because it sort of reminds me of the recent film that came out, The Nun. And when you say nun, I think, oh my god, that's going to be absolutely terrifying. Because I don't like them, but it sounds good at the moment, yeah.
When it comes to poetic, I'm just interested quickly, how are you actually going to present this story? Because I know poetic isn't the most clear-cut style.
Do you remember Pat saying, the poetic documentary Koyana Squatsy, that Russian...
Oh, that one.
Yeah, Squatsy.
You know how that's weird? It's got all the mesmerising sounds and visuals and stuff. It's going to be like that, but it's going to be obviously orientated around the nun. So you might have silhouette of the nun or the church and the flame, whatever, etc. and other stuff running. Think about
holy symbols.
Holy symbols like candles in the church.
That makes sense.
Scenes, things like that.
It just feels like the film The Nun at the moment. It's about a nun.
But this is a poetic documentary.
Fair enough.
Yeah, true. Anyway, our focus will be on using visual cues to tell and recreate the story. For example, props and set design will be very important as little to no dialogue will be used throughout the piece. How do you think we could tell the story using props and or set design?
I don't know. Well, I think your lighting side of things needs to be quite dark if you're trying to get it quite creepy and scary. But obviously you still need to be able to see things, otherwise it's going to look rubbish. But lighting's the main thing, I think. With props, I don't think you need much props if you're inside the church. Because that gives it I don't really like going in churches as it is, because they sort of give me bad vibes. They're quite creepy to walk into and look at. So what you have in there already at the moment, I think it's alright.
Just use as much as you can in the church, the seating area bits and the statues if there are any, and the stained glass windows.
They're creepy.
So I think with camera work and stuff, you could definitely just use the props that are already there. I don't know about adding any.
Yeah.
I don't really know.
I don't think you need to add much. Otherwise it might just become over the top a little bit. But that's just my opinion.
Well, you could have a person running around a church 13 times.
Yeah.
Obviously then you run the risk of being possessed by a nun, but
True. That's what I said to put in your risk assessment as well, for possible possession, just saying. I would say symbolism is always a good thing, get things which would represent characters that you're having in the thing. So a portrait of a nun, or maybe something that symbolises a nun, maybe say the cross or the candles, as you stated before, something that would symbolise a Holy Spirit or the nun itself, and then something that would symbolise the other character going to be in it. Obviously, probably someone disturbing or disgracing something, which would then lead to, well, just using symbolism is a good thing to work with.
Thanks.
Out of curiosity, you said 13 times around the church. Does the number 13 turn up at any other points in the story? Or is it just that one time?
Yeah,
not really. It's a short story, but 13 is kind of associated, Friday the 13th.
Because I was
13 is
I was going to say that could be pretty important, having like the number 13 or 13 of something coming up multiple times.
That could be
a pretty good time.
Yeah, like I said, symbolism of the number 13. You said.
Cool. We will also be creating our own soundscapes to match the tone of the documentary using Foley and pre-existing audio tracks. We intend to use our voices and alter them through editing software to match the tone of the visuals on screen, which will be of a supernatural elements of weird, trippy stuff. Do you prefer the practical method of recording sounds on set, or do you prefer pre-existing sound packages?
I think practical's better.
Yeah, agree.
Normally collecting sound on set is quite good because, well, it's genuine sound that you're getting straight from there. It's like, but yeah, like I said, getting sound on set is genuine. It works well, such in that sense. But normally you can only get certain sounds from doing it Foley wise or finding sound effects. For example. Sorry, I'm just rambling now. But for example, we're getting background ambience music because we don't think we'll be able to get good ambient sound from down where we're working, and that seems like a good thing to work with. Like an example, you don't have to take this, but an example that might be good, maybe the silent serenade of a church choir in the background for yours, because I don't know, that normally comes to mind when talking about a church. Because I don't know.
I think that was spooky.
Yeah, that's it.
Very spooky.
I was just going to say I prefer my stock and pre-recorded sound, because on-set sound I find is just, there's too many variables on set, whereas, when you're doing stuff before actually shooting, it's there and you don't have to worry.
Yeah.
And honestly, when I'm hearing your idea, I would just take a hymn and slow it right down, and I reckon that would really work well with yours.
Excellent, thank you very much. Last question. We're unsure whether or not we would like the nun to be shown in full or to remain silhouetted. Do you prefer if the antagonist is present in the documentary or they remain inconspicuous and mysterious?
Are you doing reenactments?
Kind of. There'll be like reenactments, but...
Well, if you are doing like around reenactments, then yeah, it would be good to show that side of things.
Do you think it'll be cheesy? Or...
I think it might come across a bit comedy, like
comical,
like I think if you met,
well, unless they look
like
proper,
the women in
proper
black,
like scary,
right?
Then like proper like they just look like they should be a ghost instead of someone look like they're taking the mick a little bit.
Yeah, that I like the kind of reminds me of the Women in Black.
Yeah,
like you never really
watched
see
that film. Didn't want to.
If you can tell a story without saying anything or showing anything blatantly, you should try to keep it not blatant, if that makes sense. Like if you can present something in a story without using words, don't use words. And if you can show a message or a creature in a story without actually revealing it, that's what you should do.
Show the presence, not the actual creature itself.
The more obvious you make it, the less creepy it will be.
Brilliant.
Because think about it, one of the main things that keeps a person in fear is the unknown. If they don't know, the fear of not knowing what it is. Because if you know what it is, then you know how to back away, like keep yourself safe. But if you don't know, you have no idea what you're up against. Then, in a sense, it just creates more fear.
Yeah. Just take the film Alien. In almost all the shots in the film Alien, you never see the creature fully revealed. It's always silhouetted or lit very dimly. Because if you were to take the same scene,
the effects of it.
If you took the same scene and filled it with a floodlight, you wouldn't be afraid of it at all, because you know it's all there. So if I were you, I'd try to keep it obscure.
Excellent. Thank you very much. That's all. Thanks.
Thank you.
Okay, cool. Thank you very much.
It's alright, thanks.